This is an interesting one. You know, when we think about our diet, we're usually focused on physical changes, weight loss, muscle gain, how our clothes fit, etc. But did you know that your diet also has a profound effect on your mental state? Yeah, it can affect your memory, your focus, your ability to learn, your overall mood. In fact, there's a direct link between what's happening in your gut and what's happening in your brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. And if you want to learn how to maximize your cognitive performance, this is something you have to be aware of. Now, it used to be that whenever someone would talk about the gut, they were referring to just the digestive system, the small intestine where most of the digestion takes place, the large intestine, which absorbs water and forms the stool. They might also talk about the stomach or the liver or the pancreas. But nowadays we understand that the gut is actually a huge ecosystem composed of trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microbes that collectively are called the microbiome. And it turns out that these microbes play a critical role in our physical and mental health. For example, some of the microbes in our gut help us digest food that we couldn't otherwise break down on our own. So they help extract energy from the food that we eat, which makes those foods more bioavailable. Others help train our immune system so it can differentiate friend from foe. And still others produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and even acetylcholine. Yes, your gut produces neurotransmitters that directly influence your mood and your ability to think, focus, and pay attention. In fact, 90% of the serotonin in your body is produced by your gut microbiome. This is why certain changes in your gut bacteria can lead to depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, ADHD, PTSD, and autism spectrum disorder. There's so much going on here that it almost sounds too complicated to be true, but it is. Now in this video, we're going to explore the connection between your gut and your brain, and talk about how you can use that knowledge to enhance your memory, your focus, your ability to learn, and ultimately your quality of life. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is the gut-brain connection? Well, there are three main ways that your gut talks to your brain. First, there are the neural connections. The nerves in your gut send signals to your brain via the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in the body and runs from your brain all the way to your gut. Second, there are the endocrine connections. Your gut produces hormones and other chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream to your brain. And third, there are the immunological connections. Your gut microbiome influences the production of immune cells and antibodies that can impact your brain function. Now that we have that established, let's take a look at how your gut health affects your cognitive function. One of the best ways to support your gut health is by consuming probiotic and prebiotic foods. Probiotics are live bacteria that are beneficial for your gut health. You can find them in fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, and kombucha. Prebiotics, on the other hand, are types of fiber that serve as food for your probiotic bacteria. You can get them in foods like asparagus, bananas, onions, garlic, and artichokes. By eating these foods, you can help support the growth of a diverse and healthy microbiome, which in turn can improve your cognitive function. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, for example, found that feeding mice a diet rich in both prebiotics and probiotics improved their memory and learning compared to mice on a standard diet. Another study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that elderly people who took a daily probiotic supplement for 12 weeks showed improvements in their cognitive function, specifically in areas related to memory and attention. There's also a lot of data showing that certain strains of gut bacteria are associated with improved cognitive function in humans. For example, people with higher levels of a type of bacteria called Bacteroidetes tend to have better cognitive function than those with lower levels. Similarly, people with higher levels of a different type of bacteria called Firmicutes tend to have worse cognitive function. But it's not just about the types of bacteria you have in your gut. It's also about the diversity of your microbiome. A study published in the journal Gastroenterology, for example, found that children with autism spectrum disorder tend to have less diverse microbiomes than those without autism. And a study published in the journal Cell reported that increasing the diversity of the gut microbiome in mice led to improved cognitive function. But how do you increase the diversity of your gut microbiome? Well, one way is to eat a more diverse diet. By eating a variety of different plants, you can provide the raw materials that your gut bacteria need to thrive. Another way is to avoid unnecessary antibiotics. Antibiotics can kill off beneficial bacteria in your gut as well as harmful ones. So if you don't need to take antibiotics, you should probably avoid them. Or if you do need to take them, you should also consider taking a probiotic supplement to replenish your good bacteria. Another thing you can do is intermittent fasting or periodic prolonged fasting. A study published in the journal Aging Cell, for example, found that fasting led to an increase in the diversity of gut bacteria in mice. Additionally, there are certain supplements that you can take to support your gut health, such as L-glutamine, zinc, carnosine, and magnesium. L-glutamine is an amino acid that can help heal the gut lining and reduce inflammation. Zinc is a mineral that's important for immune function and wound healing. Carnosine is a compound that can protect the gut from oxidative stress. Magnesium is a mineral that can help regulate bowel movements. It's also worth mentioning that there are some compounds in food that can actually harm your gut health. For example, there's a lot of data showing that consumption of artificial sweeteners like aspartame and saccharin can alter the composition of your gut microbiome and lead to a range of negative effects, including weight gain, inflammation, diabetes, and even cancer. So, if you're concerned about your gut health, you may want to avoid foods and drinks that contain artificial sweeteners. Also, surprisingly, chronic alcohol consumption has been shown to negatively impact the composition of your gut microbiome. A study published in the journal Alcoholism, Clinical and Experimental Research found that heavy drinkers had less diversity in their gut microbiome than non-drinkers. Heavy drinkers also had lower levels of certain types of bacteria that are associated with good gut health. So, if you're concerned about your gut health, you may want to limit your alcohol intake. But what does all this mean for your everyday life? Well, simply put, taking care of your gut can help improve your cognitive function. Eating probiotic and prebiotic foods, avoiding unnecessary antibiotics, intermittent fasting, and taking supplements like L-glutamine, zinc, carnosine, and magnesium can all help support a healthy gut microbiome, which in turn can help support your cognitive function. On the flip side, eating a lot of processed foods, artificial sweeteners, and alcohol can all harm your gut microbiome and lead to negative cognitive outcomes. With that said, it's also important to keep in mind that everyone's microbiome is unique, and what works for one person may not work for another. So, if you're struggling with cognitive issues and you suspect that your gut microbiome might be to blame, it's important to talk to your doctor and get tested. There are a number of different tests that can be done to evaluate the health of your gut microbiome, and there are also a number of different ways that it can be treated. For example, in some cases, doctors may recommend a fecal microbiota transplant, which involves transferring healthy bacteria from one person to another. While this may sound a little bit gross, it's actually a very effective way to restore the balance of bacteria in someone's gut. The science of the gut-brain connection is still in its infancy, but we're learning more about it all the time. What's clear is that the health of your gut has a profound impact on your cognitive function. So, if you want to improve your memory, your focus, and your ability to learn, you should definitely prioritize your gut health. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and share it with anyone you think it might help. I hope you're having an amazing week, and I will see you in the next video.